American has $90,460 of debt. Automobiles, mortgages, credit cards, and student loans are the biggest elements consuming net pay. In many ways, the 21st century has many reflections of the roaring 20s. Are we living above our means? Welcome to Coastal Connections with Marilena Echohawk, owner of Unfuck Your Credit. Get ready to fix your credit.
All right, hey guys, welcome to Coastal Connections. We got Marilena here. What's up?
Hey guys.
Hey guys, so we're here today to talk about credit, which is like all near and dear to all of our hearts. And and one thing is we got Marilena here to kind of help us navigate this, with most college kids having massive amounts of debt when they graduate, with adults dealing with divorce, with adults dealing with just different things, losing that job and having to make the difference up. We're going to just tap into Marilena's brain and see if we can get some knowledge. And, me and Mike G, we are all about, saving our money. Ain't that right, Mike? So Marilena, no further ado, I just wanted to ask you a couple questions, and I appreciate you being on the show, girl.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, you used to be a female bodybuilder pro, and you worked in the banking system. So what made you, I realized as a pro bodybuilder, that it's taxing on the body, and over the years you finally say, okay, I want to eat a cheeseburger, but you look great. And then and the other thing is you actually worked in the banking system. So you got a firsthand knowledge of people's struggles financially. So kind of give everybody like where you're from, your journey. And I know you speak Italian, so I may pick on you. I'm just joking. And
I'll get all embarrassed.
I know. Just give everybody a little bit of your journey. And then we're going to get into questions of how we can help these our guests, fix their credit or help themselves.
Yeah, for sure. So I started out in banking when I was 19. I was in the banking industry for 20 years, and I, just kept going up the ladder and had my own branch, and I loved it. I loved my clients, what I did for them, but I was tired of the corporate world and I wanted to work for myself. So in the midst of all that, I was an athlete. I was a pro IFBB pro physique girl. I started out in figure, and then you just it was a lot. And I have a daughter as well. So, I missed out a lot of, the good stuff with her, like eating all the time with her. But yeah, so then I decided to go out on my own. And I think I'm passionate about credit because a lot of people just don't know. And it's just the lack of knowledge out there, because they think that they're doing one thing correct and it could actually hurt their credit. So that's where we're at right now. And I love what I do. I'm passionate about it. And I, build a huge relationship with my clients, and it's a lot of fun.
All right. So so let's talk about the one thing is about when I, in the 80s and early 90s, they started these companies called credit consolidation companies. And then you found out there was a little bit of fraud going on, in the end of class action lawsuits. So the thing is, when people realize, and divorce is a great one, after people get divorced and they realize they have to rack and stack their bills and everything, how you as a person, how do you advise them that not to go out and buy anything new because you're having an emotional event, but how to use, just settle down, breathe, and, kind of restructure their life?
I usually don't get them while the divorce is happening. I usually get them after the damage is done. But, it's tough because they want things, split in half. One of them will say, well, I'm not going to pay. You're the one who, created this debt, whatever. I just feel like it's going to affect both of you. And my advice to people is just handle it civilly. And at the end of the day, you guys were married, and you have to pay it off, because it's going to haunt you forever. So,
all right. Oh, and that you said the thing about paying it off. So what are some of the myths out there? Because some people say, I can pay late. I'll be 30 days late. It's not going to hurt my credit. But what is the truth behind, here's the best thing is, how do you get to that 700 beacon score? What are some of the key pointers that you give people to say, this is how you're going to fix your credit to get it to that score where you can do what you need to do?
Well, there's a lot of factors, and, the factors are, obviously, how do you pay your credit? And people say, 30 days late, you're good, whatnot. But one 30-day late could hurt your score like 60 to 100 points. And that's huge, right? Because if you're already at a 660, now you're you're down to 600, and that's a huge difference in interest rates and all that. So not only is your payback, but what your variety. So if you have just credit cards, loans, how long you've had it. So if I have all brand new credit, I just went out and got a bunch of credit cards, I'm going to look like more of a risk than somebody who's had established credit for years. And that's how lenders look at it. And then also your utilization. And, utilization is huge because people are like, they have a $5,000 limit, they have it maxed out. That kills your credit score. The key number is to keep your balances below 10% of your limit. So if you have a $5,000 limit, you want that under $500. Doesn't mean you can't use it, up to 5,000. But the day, and this is the key to it too, is a lot of people don't know this, but the day they report it to the credit bureaus, which is different than your due date, is the day that you want that balance below the 10%. And all you have to do is call your credit card company and say, hey, when do you guys report to the credit bureaus? And they have to tell you. It's usually like 5 days after your due date.
Wow, I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
So wow, I did not know that. That's some good information. Because I think the one thing is I constantly look at even my own credit and trying to keep it, up there where it's supposed to be so I can buy things or if I have an emergency or whatever I need. But, there's nothing in the school systems. There's nothing in the systems that teach anyone about credit. And I don't understand why. It's because even from the 1920s all the way to now, we have based almost everything on the credit rating that people have, and we don't have any system. So what do you think that we realize that credit's so important, but we don't educate people on it?
Well, I try to tell parents, with my daughter and my parents, they taught me, they didn't know the ins and outs of credit, but they taught me how important credit would be in your life because, a lot of people are like, well, I'll just use cash. I don't need credit. But at the end of the day, someday you're going to have to buy a home. And, if you have 300, 400, 500,000 to purchase a home, then great. You won't need it, but most people don't. And I try to tell people who have kids graduating high school, get them a joint credit card, let them use it. You're the primary. By the time your kid gets out of college, they're going to have over a 700 credit score. But you can monitor what they're doing. You make the payments, all that. So that's the way you start your kids' credit. And by the time they get out of college, they're going to have great credit and they're going to know how to use it.
Whoa, that's on point. So Mike, you got anything, man? While you over there flashing the screen?
Well, I don't know. I just, I'm just sharing the beautiful website, I may say. But question. So I'm not a credit guru. You are. So why from the 60s to now, the complexity has increased? Do you think? Why is everything so complex now? Like you just said, which, I respect the information. It's dope. It is facts, of course. But you got to have 500. Even if you have 5,000, you can't spend the 5,000 to 2,000 and this and that. So why is it such a seesaw thing, in your opinion?
I wished I knew that answer. It's really like you can use your credit, right? But they want to see that they want to see that you have the ability to pay it back and not like on credit cards, for instance, if you use it all in 1 month, if you have 5,000 and you use that whole thing, pay it down. Don't keep that balance because that just keeps you at a credit risk. It gets your debt to income higher, right? And if I go try to get a home loan, all these payments, I'm not going to get approved because of my debt to income. So, it's the way the lender looks at it. Are you a risk or are you not a risk? Are you continuing to go get more credit and getting more debt, or are you getting more credit and paying things down? So that's kind of how they look at it, which, if you were to loan somebody money, what would you look at in order to say, yes, I'll give you this money? That's how lenders look at it, right? Are you comfortable giving somebody that money knowing that they're going to repay you back?
Well, I'm a little upset because here's my problem with credit. And I don't know if everybody else is feeling, but this is where I'm upset, Marlene, is when I pay off a credit card and I no longer want that credit card. I don't ever want to use it again. And this is what happened to me. I paid off like 3 credit cards, shredded them, closed the account. My freaking credit score dropped. Are
Yeah,
you
that's
kidding me?
you don't ever want to close it. You keep it there. If you don't have the willpower, not you individually, but like if the person does not have the willpower to not use that credit card, cut it up, but keep it open. And my advice to people is because you want the credit limits there, because basically that gives you a bigger amount for your 10%, right? For your what you want to be under for credit utilization. So if you have 6 credit cards, but you keep them all below 10%, you're going to be in great. So I always tell people spend $50 on it. Go buy your gas this month and then pay it down to 25. Next month, pay it off. Because that's all they want to see is how do you pay your debt back?
Yeah,
And don't ever close the cards because it will jack you. You'll drop like 50 to 100 points like with one card.
oh, trust me, I was shocked because I'm like, all right, I came in a little extra money and I paid the cards off, and I'm like, oh, I'm good to go. I'm got rid of these, and it was like some miscellaneous cards, but it dropped me 100 points, and I was furious because I was like, I'm not even abusing credit here. So when you're working with that with loans, so your credit impacts the way your interest rate for loans. So to kind of give me an idea, so how does the interest rate work with loans, and why do all 3 credit companies, Experian, TransUnion, and what's the other one? Equifax. Yeah, Equifax. Why do they come up with different scores? And it depends on who you're going with. So you may have a 700 with Equifax, but you got a 650 with TransUnion. So what is going on?
That's a great question. So not everybody reports to the same bureaus. There's a ton of bureaus out there. There's bureaus that will report certain things. Those are the 3 major ones, right? So you always hear about them. The reason being is because I, as a company or collection company, I may report just to Equifax my collections for like medical, right? So Equifax may have this company that just sends it to them, and TransUnion and Experian didn't get that collection. So it's not reporting on that bureau. So that's the differences. So, I mean, that's the major differences. And, I might have a company that reports an account that's in good standing, but they're not reporting to the other bureaus. So that's the big difference in everything.
All right, because one thing we did do is like 3 of our daughters have already bought a home in their 20s, and I think that was a big deal because I told them that a mistake I did make is growing up is when I did have the cash and the ability, I didn't buy a house when I was in my 20s, and I kick myself every day thinking if I bought these 2 houses in California, what else in California? Woohoo!
Right.
So I mean, with the way the housing market's changing. And the price of living is just going through the roof. I don't know about in Denver, but here in Tampa, the cost of living is, an apartment is almost $2,000 a month for a 1,500 square foot or 700, 800 square foot apartment.
Mm-hmm.
But I know you're out in Denver. The question I got is, but everything's driven off your credit. So what I'm starting to see now is that college kids, they have no credit debt, but they can't get an apartment because they have no credit history.
Right. And that's the key to the parents. I mean, it all starts at home with everything, right? Like if the parents need to understand that credit is so important, just to even get an apartment, to get a cell phone, and that's huge. And if you don't have it, then you're going to put a bigger deposit down, even for like a cell phone, you're going to have to put a deposit down. You could always get co-signers, but at that age, you should have something established. Even if you get a car loan and joint car loan with your parents when you first turn 16, you got to teach. I mean, my big thing is teach your kids about credit. And if you don't know, find somebody that does. I teach people, I don't just take negative items off their credit. We have courses to where I teach them about it, how to utilize it, how to make your credit work for you instead of against you.
Okay, so you just went into segued into my next question, and I'm glad you went there. All right, so someone hires you. I mean, it's I hire you, Mike hires you, someone hires you, and I give you you get my credit report. How do you? If there's a top secret, I don't want to know. But if there's a process, there's a process. How do you get people's credit score up?
It's a process. So everybody's credit is different. They're all unique. So what I do is there's a link on my website. It says pull my credit or what's my score. I can't remember exactly how it's worded, but that is their affiliate of mine. So when you work with me, you have to use that affiliate, and it's a credit monitoring system. It pulls all 3 bureaus for you. What I do is I will do a full audit of your credit. So I pull all 3 bureaus, look it over, and then I tell you what's wrong, what looks like, and then obviously I'm going to talk it over because a lot of people have stuff on there that is technically theirs, but it's not reporting right. So the key things I start off with is their name and addresses, because you would be surprised. I don't have a middle name, and they had a middle name on my credit. And I'm like, I don't even have one. So, and that's potential fraud, and it could lead people to put things on your credit that's not yours. So it's a process. I just have to go through everything and talk with my client, see what's theirs, what happened. We really get to know each other, and they have to be very honest with me and tell me, if they had financial hard times, whatever it was. And I go in and battle for them. So
do you talk to the credit bureaus, or do you talk to the companies that they had the credit issue with?
It depends, because if it's a credit collection on there, sometimes I have to go straight to the collections, and I don't talk to anybody. I'll write their letters, send it to them. I send everything certified. Our clients get everything back, the responses. There's laws in place for everything. So depending on how long the collection has been on there, if it's over 7 years, you can't collect. You can't sue me for the debt, and it's a statute of limitations. So I tell people all the time, this is huge, so please listen to this: do not pay old collections, because all you're going to do, and I understand you're trying to do the right thing, and people are always like, oh, I just paid that off. I'm like, no, why didn't you call me first? But what happens is if I pay an old collection and I don't get them to delete it, what happens is it's going to start over for another 7 years to report on my credit as a paid collection. So what happens then is my score drops again. So it's a game. I call it the credit game. You just have to know, you have to educate yourself. And that's the key thing, is I can still usually get those off if you paid them, but it's tough. It's a lot of work to get them.
And that's what I was trying to bring up earlier about the complexity of it. Do you see the complexity? Where I asked that question and it just got more complex.
Yeah. You don't even know. There's as I was telling you that, there's so much going through my head that I want to tell you, but it's
she just gave you a gem right there about the 7 years. I knew that. Somebody gave me that. So check this out. I have a question. So I'm getting my credit fixed. It's that time. Not too bad. It's cool, and it's all clear. Now the problem I got. Here we go. It's all clear. We're good, right? Got clean slate. I can't get nothing. Nothing. No credit card. No nothing.
Well, why? What are they telling you?
You don't got nothing. There's nothing there. Everything's clear. Everything's gone. The company did their job, did whatever.
So basically, you had nothing but negative on your credit. Now it's all gone, and it looks like you have nothing, right?
Correct. So I'm like,
I'm going to tell you a quick story. I had a client that started with me last, I think, March or April, and he never really used credit. He had, I think it was 3 or 4 hospital bills on there. He had lost his job. And, he couldn't pay it. It was the deductible. So they threw it on. And so he had he started a 520 with me, couldn't get credit, nothing. So I think that was April. And then in November, he had a 670. I got him a credit card. We put, and the key thing too, is if you rent, get your rent on your report, because it helps with when you go to buy a house. You have to put your rent on your report.
You're kidding me.
Absolutely not.
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah. And on my IG, I have a video about that. I made a video because a lot of people they're like, well, I don't, I rent. I haven't purchased a home. I don't have a mortgage history. Well, put your rent on there. But there's a process too. So, but it's easy. I've had my clients put it on and their scores go up 50, 60 points like that in the first 30 days.
Wow. I've never even heard of that. That is some serious knowledge, because all the times I rented, I should have had it on my credit bureau.
Absolutely. If you get your, whoever you're renting from, there's companies. And like I said, on my IG, there's one of my posts is about it, and I list a bunch of companies that you can call, and you have to pay a monthly fee, but it's not expensive at all.
All right, so I'm gonna definitely do that for one of my daughters that just graduated college, and she is renting right now. So I am definitely gonna call her and tell
Just
her.
make sure that she is paying on time, because if not, then it's obviously going to hurt her. So as long as
Trust me, Daddy makes sure that happens.
yeah.
All right. So, as we progress as a society, what do you, I mean, credit has become like this mega thing in our society now. And it's kind of like, in no other time in our history has credit been so strong. And so what's your advice on what kind of credit card should people get? So it kind of helps strengthen their credit. You know what I mean? Because there's certain credit cards out there. There's a lot of advertisements. So what advice would you give if people do have to apply for credit cards? What should they be trying to apply for?
It's a hard question to answer because it depends on what your credit score is. Because if I have 0 credit score, I don't have anything negative reporting. There's ones that I always recommend, the ones with rewards, right? But because you can get travel, you can get all that stuff. So you have to look at all the aspects of it, because if I'm brand new, I might have to get a secured card. And what a secured card is basically you have to give money. They put it away, they lock it up. So they'll like $200-300. You're going to use your money as your credit. Some companies will still charge you interest on your own money, but at the end of the day, you're having to build your credit, right? So, if somebody's establishing credit, that's what I recommend for them. People with bad credit, I've gotten a couple of my clients secured cards when they've had that 600 to 650. And right when we got them above a 700, we can switch it out and get them an actual credit card. So I always look for the lowest fees, a monthly fee or annual fee, whichever one, the lowest interest rates. And that's really key. It's really what you want out of a credit card. So, and how you're going to use it.
So Mike asked me earlier, and we keep messing it up, and it's on us, but how the heck did you come up with the name for your company?
Which I like.
You'll never forget it, right?
It's catchy.
Here's why. Because I really battled with it, because I'm like, I haven't been on Google for a year. They just approved me after a year of being in business to be on Google. And it was because of the name. And I'm like, here's the thing. When you talk to somebody, just even in passing conversation, you're like, oh, I'm going to go buy a new car. And, someone says, how's your credit? Oh man, my credit's fucked, right? Like that's what people say whenever you talk to people about credit. And so I'm like, well, let me help you unfuck your credit. And if people don't, there have been a couple people that really haven't done business with me because of my name, but I'm like, well, then you're not my people, and it's okay. So that's how.
That's a nice name, man. It's catchy. I'm sorry. And if people don't want it, like you said.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't want to work with me because my name, I'm like, it's okay.
They must do real work. Say unfuck your credit. Like we're gonna unfuck your credit. We unfuck you. Fuck whatever. Ching chong chong, whatever it is.
Yeah. And when you get to know me, like I'm just so chill, and people like my personality, I can vibe with anybody. And, it's not there to say a bad word. It's really just an expressive way to say, let me help you fix your credit,
It's on point. It's on point. So, all right. So since before we get off of here, and you've been a great guest, we got a couple more questions. The one is, all right, what's up with the Denver Broncos? You're always at the games. So I'm going to bring it up, man. I'm going to bring it up because you post all the time. So
it's so hard being a Broncos fan.
Or you're a Denver fan? Would you make your mind up, Marlene? Because both times you're posting Dallas, and then you were posting Denver.
I'm Dallas and Denver. I'm going to tell you this. I started liking Dallas probably when I was like, I don't know, 10. I don't ask me why. Like
Denver in Texas.
I'm not. No, Denver is my team. Like when we played Dallas, trust me, I was rooting for Denver. However, if they're not playing Denver, Dallas is my other team. But
where are you originally from? New York or somewhere, right?
Me?
Yeah, where are you originally from? Okay, originally born and raised in Denver.
Mm-hmm. My family's from Italy, and I was first generation here.
Oh, okay. What part of Italy?
It's a little town called Canzano. It's in the province of L'Aquila.
All right, so is that in the north, south, or central?
It's about 2 hours north of Rome.
Oh, okay, nice, nice, nice. When was the last time you went? Before COVID?
2010. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I miss the food. I used to live in Vicenza, and then I lived in Aviano, and love it. And I loved going over to Austria all the time because it was so close by. When I saw those posts, and I kept going, oh, I said that's a house divided or a person in conflict.
I'm in conflict with myself all the time. Apparently, I don't know. Yeah.
No, you've been a great guest, and you know what? We're gonna make sure that this gets out. We're gonna make sure people start really watching it, and we're gonna circulate it probably like 100 times, so that people really need to understand credit. Because Marilena, I think the younger generation, you know, back when my parents were growing up, and I used to remember some of my uncles, they used to be like, I don't care, whatever. My credit score is 400. I don't care. You really can't take that attitude anymore. So if you have any advice for anybody that's going to watch this, which there will be a lot, any advice for young people or middle-aged people in their, you know, their 20s and 30s, I guess that would be, because I'll be 57, and it doesn't matter to me because I'm just rolling. What advice would you give them going forward if they were to watch this and say, hey, this is what you really need to be focused on about your credit? Go ahead, girl.
You know, my advice is that it's affecting all aspects of our lives, because even some jobs will pull your credit. And if you don't have good credit, they don't hire you. So it's not just going to get more credit. I say, you know, if you don't know, you know, you guys have my website on here. I have courses where I can teach you guys, ask, Google it, learn, you know, and get a credit monitoring system, because it will help you, you know, monitor if anybody's using your credit, if your social security number's been compromised, which mine was the other day, which is absolutely crazy. So, you know, the only way I knew was through the credit monitoring systems.
Okay, what credit monitoring system do you use? Because I don't use one, and I'm glad you brought that up.
Go onto my website, and it says pull what's my credit score. It's on the homepage. And here's the thing, Credit Karma and the ones like that, they are never accurate. So you can have a score on Credit Karma of 700. You're like, heck yeah, I'm gonna go buy a car because I got my 700 credit score. Go to the dealership and you have a 620. Big difference, right? So these ones, the ones that I use, it's called Identity IQ. There's a discount on the one that's on my website, and it's a monthly subscription. But I'm telling you, it's so worth it, because had I not had that on my own account, T-Mobile apparently had a breach and my social security was on there. I haven't had T-Mobile for over 10 years, and it just got hacked. So yeah, it's just important. It affects all aspects of your life. You don't have to go into debt. Know how to use the cards, know when to pay them, pay them off, make your payments. And that's
just
it.
Don't close them. Don't
close them either. Right.
All right. Close out here, bro. You got anything else before we close out, Mike?
It's been great meeting you. A lot of information. I mean, now I know that I have to get a prepaid card maybe or something.
Mike, you should just give me a call after the show, and I'll
I'll give the number.
Yeah. So guide me.
I will guide you for sure.
But it's nice meeting you. Appreciate it. We'll
Thank
talk.
you, guys.
We'll talk.
Yeah, make sure you call me. Thanks for having me.
Always. I'm gonna go online and drop my credit thing in there and find out. I make sure I get some security. But as me and Mike always said, Marilena, you have been awesome. And now, did your daughter graduate college, or is she still in?
She's still in college. She's at CU Denver now, and she's getting accounting degree. So she's just awesome.
She can help. Yeah. All right. So when she graduate?
I think she has a year left, maybe.
Oh, okay. Well, hang in there. I got one about my last one's about to head off to college. I pray
yeah.
we can get there. But you know what? With everything, I appreciate you coming on the show. And as me and Mike G always say, keep it rolling.
Thanks, guys.